Guys, we're live. For some reason, we didn't get our lead in going. It wouldn't let us do it. So we're live and we're on the air with Bedford County Sports Talk Live.
We ain't wasting no time this
no
morning.
time wasted.
We getting in there.
No time wasted for sure. Guys, had a big playoff game here in Shelbyville last night. We're going to dive into that and talk about it in detail. And then go around over some scores and talk about other things as far as high school sports locally goes. And before we do that, I want to thank our sponsors, First Bank of Shelbyville and Kincaid
Service
Company, where service is their middle name. Let's pause real quick and listen to those two sponsors and see what they have to offer. We'll be right back. Kincaid Service Company is a locally owned family business that has proudly served the Middle Tennessee area since 1934. We have a wide selection of furniture, appliances, electronics, and mattresses for every budget and design taste. We carry the brands that you know and trust, so you're sure to find exactly what you're looking for. Need financing? We have you covered. With our service department, you can rest assured that we will take care of you after the purchase. Visit our Shelbyville store at 400 Madison Street today. All right, guys. Big game last night here at Eagle Stadium.
You know who should be on this show today? It shouldn't be Kenny Parker or David Thomas or Bill Anderson.
Robert Bailey.
It ought to be Robert Bailey's show.
Yeah.
That's what this should be.
No, his show was last night.
Yeah, it was. There ain't no doubt about that.
That's when you'd rather him showed out last night than been on the show today.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Knowlesville came in. They were a well-balanced team. We saw that. They played well coached.
Very well coached.
It looked like we were
very athletic, man.
Yeah, more so than I anticipated.
All around. I mean, they all moved well.
But we got out early, 14-0. Robert Bailey right out of the gate. First two carries. First two plays of the game, wasn't it, Bill?
Yeah, first two plays of the game. One was 19, next one was 61, 80 yards and two carries.
Wow.
We're talking about Robert Bailey. All right, he rushed for like 360 yards.
373 on 21 carries.
All right. But you know what? There's some boys up front that's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Or that wouldn't happen.
Toward the end of the game there, they asked me how many yards Robert had, and I told them, and they were excited about it because they knew they'd done their job.
And then you have Bobo that adds a few more also.
He had 90 yards.
90 yards rushing.
So they rushed for almost 500 yards.
Yeah.
And so the big boys, we got to give them a shout out. Also.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I think in the second half, especially when they went more to the two tight end sets, where you had them and you had Palmer Edwards at tight end, you were able to block it even better.
Well, there were some holes. I mean, but Robert just went through them fast.
Oh, you got
to, but you got to have a hole to get there.
Yeah.
But what they were doing, to me, they were having trouble initiating the push at the line of scrimmage, Nolensville. So they had to start bringing some secondary guys, bringing some linebackers. And when that happens and you get that one little hole,
there ain't nobody left.
Now you got Robert one-on-one or somebody coming at an angle on him. And
nothing but green in front of him.
His speed was
it was top notch
last night. Yeah, he was
leaving.
He was
first game of the season. He ran for over 300 yards against Siegel, and we sat here and said that's a school record.
It was 325 yards or something like that.
Well, he shattered that.
Well, yeah. This went right past it. That has to be the number one.
No, guaranteed.
And it's getting up there close in the state. I mean, if you look, that's
put him close. He's about 1,900 yards or so.
I mean, the 370-yard rushing game is pretty close in some state records.
Yeah.
Had he
somebody out there looked that up, it's pretty close.
Had he not missed, but he didn't play the second half of 4 or 5 games. But, didn't score, and he was injured a little bit. He'd be a finalist for 5A Football Player of the Year.
Possibly.
Very well could.
He ought to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's what the impact
he's as good as anybody else is.
I think he is probably he and Dobbs, of course, in the region, but I got to put him as the number one player. MVP.
He did it on half the carries.
Yeah.
Less than half.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's for real.
4 more touchdowns.
You know what? Here's the thing. You know what's so good about him? I told you last night. He's a junior.
Yeah, he's a junior.
He's a junior.
Yeah.
That means he gets to come back next year.
Played on defense last night. Played on special teams last night.
Oh, he was wanting on the field on defense.
Uh-huh.
He was. I asked him in the third quarter, "You tired?" No, I ain't tired. He's ready to go, and that's the way all those kids were last night. There were kids standing on the sidelines last night. They were wanting on the field. Now, I mean, they weren't tired. They were ready.
You got to in that kind of game. You could sense that on both sides.
Yeah,
you could sense that on both sides. Well, I mean, what an atmosphere! Two good teams going at each other. You know, both sides is going to talk back and forth to each other a little bit. You expect that, but just to battle, and nobody could ever get. At one time, Nolensville went up, and we started thinking, well, what are to do? They answered. And then it looked like Nolens was going to go up again, and then number 6 picks one off at the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
Well, what's that mean? About 3 plays, Bailey hands the ball to the official in the end zone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, then they just kept, and then give Nolensville credit. They fought to the end.
Yeah, that onside kick. It was
before the onside kick. What about the catch for the touchdown?
Yeah, I mean that was crazy.
That was crazy.
We had the ball.
I thought the older Bobo fixed the picket.
Yeah, it went. He had it, and the other kid ended up with it.
And it fell right in the end zone, and then a great onside kick.
And that was on 4th down. Mm-hmm. All we had to do was bat that thing down.
But give kids credit.
Yeah. They fought.
Give Nolensville credit for getting rid of it quick because they knew we were coming.
Yeah, had just sacked him. Had a big hit for a sack, but you know, I thought there were 2 good football teams played last night.
Now we face Page at Page. I watched that game a little bit. Centennial returned the opening kickoff all the way for a touchdown. Mm-hmm. They brought it back on a clip. No, actually, yeah, I think it was a clip. And then they probably had their first 10 offensive plays. 8 of them had penalties on it. They just they just dug themselves a hole.
Yep.
They dug themselves a hole, and that's where a Page will beat you. They got up 14-0. That final score was 29-3, I believe.
29-3.
And honestly, if Centennial had cleaned their game up, it wouldn't have been like that.
Right.
They were playing with them. And then you look at what Columbia did. I think Page, if you got to play a good game. You can't go out there have a bunch of penalties and have turnovers. That's where they just capitalize.
Here's the thing: you're with 8 teams left in the state. You don't have to play that way every week. Yep. You had to play that way last night.
Well, we had a few little snafus here and there that
we didn't have many penalties.
We had 2 turnovers that were.
Well, we had a couple of turnovers. We had a couple.
Not many penalties. Just a couple.
I'll tell you what. One penalty that I thought was really going to affect us is we're running the clock out. Got the ball deep in the end zone. It's like 3rd and 2. I thought, hey, all we got to do is get a first down. We ice this game. First down, we ice the game. Game's over. They have 1 timeout left. Well, coaches made a good call. Steven runs it to the left side. We get the first down, and we got a holding call.
Yeah.
Which backed us up now.
It was like 3rd and 15 or so.
No, well, it was 3rd and 2.
Yeah.
And then it backed up 10, so now it's 3rd and 12, and I'm going, man, this ain't what we got to get a first down. I mean, we're in 2-down territory. But what happens? Run it to the right, and Steven hands it to the official in the end zone.
Yep.
What a play.
Yeah, I know.
What a play.
Yeah, it was.
And it's only the 4th time in school history they've made the quarterfinals: 1995, 2005, 2018, and 2024.
I thought we made it twice when I was at Shelbyville. I thought we played Cleveland twice when I was at Shelbyville.
One time we went to Cleveland.
Okay. Well,
but back then it was set up differently than it is now.
Yeah. So
not as many teams made the playoffs back then.
In the other bracket that we will possibly face, you got some scores on that. Now, Beach played Southwind last night and thumped them
49-19.
And then we had Henry County and Springfield in a rematch.
You call that one. 20-17.
They got Springfield's got a really good quarterback, from what I understand.
So, Henry County.
So that'll be a rematch up there with Springfield and Beach. Mm-hmm. And so there's another rematch in the 3rd round.
Yep.
Several rematches in the 3rd round. We're going to have Oakland and Riverdale, and
Marshall County
Pearl Cone.
Yeah, why don't you go over some scores
here? Marshall County 52, Station Camp 13. Oakland beat Mount Juliet 35-28.
That's a close
good
game.
ball
That
game.
was a really good ball game. They had to. Oakland had come from behind.
Riverdale beat Blackman 31-17. Brentwood lost to Stewart's Creek 17-10.
The Blackman and Riverdale Kreisky brothers, two brothers going head to head against each other. That'd be like me and David coaching against each other.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what? That game would have ended. There'd been a fight on the field between the coaches.
Ravenwood 45, Franklin 13. Sequatchie County, that we're well aware how good they are, 42-26. Meigs County 24, Giles County 21. That sets up Meigs County at Sequatchie, and Marion County beat East Robertson 49-18.
And East Robertson, arguably one of their better teams.
They've got athletes.
Two D1 prospects on that team. Marion can play.
Yeah. Speaking of D1 prospects, Page has got.
I was talking to the official.
They got
official on the sideline last night that was running the 25-second clock. He worked it last week, and we got to talking and all. And he's worked a couple of Page games this year. He said, "You're going to be pretty good. You got 4 D1 prospects on your defense."
Yeah.
You got 4 D1.
You got Hazard. You got Ains. You got Weebush. And then Coach Rathbone's son plays on the defensive line. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if he's one of the prospects or not.
But I think he's underclassman.
He's a junior. Yeah,
right.
And just looking at some of the video from last night's game, Centennial moved the ball a little bit on them, but they kept shooting themselves in the foot and digging a hole. And when you do that, you just can't win a ball game against Pace. They're going to make you pay every time. And, of course, their special teams were good. Just like Nolensville special teams were good. They executed on us last night, the onside kick. It was one right down the middle. It rolls, and that took that big hop right at the end and went right up over, I think it was Chandler Jones, could not get it.
45.
Jackson. But anyway, we gotta be on our game. 100%
I'm going to mention something
across
on
the board.
defense for Shelbyville, too, just real quick. The difference that I see when Stevens not out there, his safety, it makes a big difference to me.
It shifts everybody around.
It shifts things around. We're a different defense, but the poor kid can't play every snap. He can't play every one of them.
I thought the defense played very good early in the game, and he wasn't on the field. He makes a difference when he's out there. But then something happened. I don't know what it was, but Nolensville, their last possession before halftime, they found something, and it started clicking. And it got Shelbyville off their heels. They went in and scored. Then they got the opening kickoff for the third quarter and went in and scored. And there was about 4 possessions in a row that they had us off balance. You didn't know whether he's going to run, going to throw, what he's going to do.
Yeah, we were selling out to stop the run.
What changed it was the pick down at the 2-yard line.
Yeah,
the pick at the 2-yard line changed the whole deal.
Yeah, it changed the momentum around. Mm-hmm. They were going in probably to score, and we stopped.
They were going in probably to score, and then 31 scores.
Yeah.
Last time we do interviews on Monday, I'm going to trump the coach. It better be Bailey, doggone. We better have Bailey on there. But what a historic game for this, and a great kid. You won't find a better young man
I tell you
Robert
what,
Bailey.
As much as you're going to talk about Bailey, you better talk about 6'2", because if he don't intercept those 2 balls at the end, Bailey's 370 yards might have been good, but without those 2 picks at the end,
that's a good point. Maddox had a great game.
Yeah, he did.
He'd be your defensive player of the game, I would assume.
Mm-hmm. I would assume so.
He was really good.
He came through in the clutch.
We had an extra point snafu last night that kind of put us in an awkward position, and we had to go for 2. And then we threw the ball right after we just run it right down their throat, trying to catch them off guard, and we probably should have just run it.
No. We make a good throw right there, it's wide open.
Yeah.
There ain't nobody around.
Right.
We just didn't make a good throw.
Right.
And the kick, it's high school football. It happens. He
got under it.
He got his foot under it, and he hit more block than he did ball.
Yeah.
He got grass. I don't know if he use a block anymore or not, but he got way under it and just didn't get anything on it.
Yeah. Well, gonna be interesting to see this game. We've been waiting for this.
Yep.
With scrimmage Page, first scrimmage of the year, and you don't know.
No.
You don't know. That don't pay you anything. But I think if Shelbyville plays a good game. If the Eagles can play a good game where they don't have a lot of mistakes, I think they're going to be. It's going to be a
we
ball
will
game.
have to be able to throw the ball better.
This should
them.
be a heck of a matchup.
Yep.
And the thing about Cheville's they sort of been tested a little bit more than Page has, because Cheville's played an undefeated Marshall County team pretty close.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty close ball game. So they've been tested.
And then the Columbia game, that was a test. There's one thing I just want to kind of shift gears on a little bit. Mary Lita Shavers just came in. We need a huge send-off next week. Parents, fans, band, cheerleaders, all Shelbyville. And what I want to bring
I don't know
up,
if we're going to be able to get a bus. They may have to leave about 5:30, 5:45.
Hey, we have vehicles. We have wheels. We'll get over there. But what I want to say is, and what I've noticed the last couple of years, and before then, we were starting to, but we haven't had a consistent push towards Shelbyville, Tennessee being a football town like it was back in the 70s, back in the day.
90s.
When we used to play over here at the old rock pile. Of course, everybody was piled in there, but the whole city you would see signs up, "Go Eagles," everywhere. And in the 90s, when Coach Thaxton was here, you'd see that.
Standing rooms on the fence.
Exactly. Now, you starting to see a little bit of that come back. Mm-hmm. Winning does that.
Winning does it.
But we need to support these kids, and we need to travel. We need to get over there to Franklin.
I will be traveling. I'm sorry. I won't be there, but my traveling will be going north.
Well, we'll keep you updated.
I got to find out how to.
It's on the NFHS network, so you can watch it.
I'll be in my truck, and how. We'll talk about that after the show.
Yeah. But I think Shelbyville is turning back into a football town, and this team, the last 2 years, has created that where it's fun to go watch them play ball.
Sure, and it's a good group of kids.
Oh yeah. You
don't hear all the so and so got in trouble and this, that, and the other, this bunch. You don't have that. These are good kids.
Yeah.
Sit in the locker room and talk to them. I mean, you can tell.
Yeah.
And they all root for each other.
Yeah.
It's just a good group of kids.
Yeah. They're a close-knit group.
Special bunch.
Well, let's take a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk some college football.
All right.
And big showdown. We're going to talk about that.
The two injuries of the injured. The big showdown.
Yeah. But let's pause real quick and take a break and hear a word from our sponsors.
Incade Service Company is a locally owned family business that has proudly served the Middle Tennessee area since 1934. We have a wide selection of furniture, appliances, electronics, and mattresses for every budget and design taste. We carry the brands that you know and trust, so you're sure to find exactly what you're looking for. Need financing? We have you covered. With our service department, you can rest assured that we will take care of you after the purchase. Visit our Shelbyville store at 400 Madison Street today.
Again, we want to thank our two sponsors, First Bank of Shelbyville and Kincaid
Service Company,
where they'll haul it off.
They will haul it off, guarantee it.
Guys, NCAA football. Have you got some information for us there? You've got the Todd Bobo line.
The Todd Bobo line this week.
Big game everybody wants to talk about. Tennessee, Georgia. We were just sitting here talking during the commercial about how many injuries there are.
This game could be such a deciding factor of who's in or who's not. Tennessee could be without their starting quarterback. I don't know how he gets out of what they do with concussion protocol. And then Bill brought up Georgia. Georgia, the top running back, ETN's out. Their 2 and 3's been banged up, so they're not playing. I don't think
the fourth one's out. They're down 4 tailbacks for this game.
So the water boy carrying the ball?
I guess.
That's crazy, isn't it?
But if Miko doesn't play, Tennessee has no chance to win the football game. 0.
Why do you say that, Bill?
I've seen the other kid play.
Nico doesn't play defense.
I've seen the other kid play. You watch the other quarterback play.
Here's the thing. the quarterback's not going to win the game. The other
He
people
can lose the game.
Yeah,
Well,
he can.
And that's what I'm getting to.
there
He
you
can
go.
lose it for
I don't
you.
think he will.
But I think if the quarterback has to play the backup, I think their coach is smart enough to know what he can and can't do. He'll rely on his defense more.
Well, let's talk about.
He'll slow the game down.
Here's what kills you in this situation. When you run these spread offenses that Josh Heupel runs, and you got a quarterback like that backup that cannot run it, then your offense doesn't work at all. He's got to be able to run it a little bit.
Nikos doesn't run the ball
He
that
runs
much.
it a little bit.
Well,
Just enough to keep them
just
honest.
enough to
but
keep it
you
going.
know what?
And you got to be able to roll out in that
He
offense.
runs it when they're concentrating on the other guy. He's a spread offense, I agree, but he's a run the ball first.
Sure.
He's going to run the ball first.
Scott Spray says, "Hey, Tennessee is going to win." So he's
I
got
agree
the
if Nico
inside
plays.
track. What's
I
the
agree.
line today?
The line is 9.5.
That
It was
is
10.5.
unbelievable to me.
Me too. That's a big line.
Georgia's favored that
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Was
I'm
10.5.
taking Tennessee on that all day long.
I would
Now the thought was it opened at 8.5. That Vegas thinks Nico's not playing was why it went to 10.5. Now it's dropped back to 9.5. That's too many points. Just too many.
I agree too. Now let's talk about this backup quarterback. He is a Heupel disciple. He was with Heupel at UCF.
Mhm.
All right, he comes up. He is tight with the coach.
Mhm.
I just think that he's better than we're giving him credit for.
I just because he makes one or two bad throws, I mean, you got to give a kid credit.
If he could just manage the game,
And the coach,
I hate that term.
he knows something, or
Yeah.
he wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
He knows something.
Well,
I know
we'll
something.
see.
We better not see him on the field
All
here.
right.
We're in trouble.
all right, Bill has no confidence
I
in the
have
backup.
zero whatsoever.
All right.
I don't know.
Hey, and I
We'll
don't know
start.
that Tennessee, if Nico plays, wins the game.
I want to know. I'm going to ask this question now. Who do you have confidence in?
Our defense.
All right. Now somebody else. 'Cause
Dylan
Dylan Sampson.
every time we talk about
Number
Bill has
6.
no confidence
Dylan
in anybody.
Sampson. Dylan
I'll tell you
Sampson.
another thing I don't have a lot of confidence in is our wide receivers at times.
It's been a
dropping
little
balls.
shaky and very inconsistent, but they've been banged up a bit too. I don't know how their health is. I don't know. Like Squirrel White's been hurt. Brew McCoy's been hurt. The Brazel kid's been hurt. They all going off the field with something.
And the 5-star never
Listen.
plays.
Yep.
It's week 11.
Yeah, I know.
It's week 11. Everybody's got them.
Yep.
Everybody's got them. Some's got more than others, but it's week 11. Nobody's healthy.
Now, I've heard this scenario brought up several times on the radio that Tennessee, if Nico doesn't play, may be better off to lose this game to make the college playoff because the committee will take into effect, this is what I don't like about this, that you didn't have your quarterback.
Well, and
then you don't have to play in the SEC championship.
Here's the thing that I think. This is what I think. If Tennessee, they got to play 3 games. Win all 3, they're definitely in. They're
Sure.
playing for SEC championship. But if Tennessee beats Georgia, let's just look at the situation. Tennessee beats Georgia and loses to Vanderbilt, I think they're out.
Yeah, they too. You
If
can't lose to Vanderbilt.
If Tennessee
loses
to
to
Georgia and beats Vanderbilt, I think they're in.
Yeah,
Maybe. Because I don't like the way this sets up.
And then I saw something else that there very well could be 8 teams in the SEC that could make it to the SEC championship game. The second team, because either
all that convoluted the way we beat up
the
on
thing
each
about
other.
it, there are going to be 8 teams that could make it there, but only 4 teams are going to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know that you want to make it there.
Honestly, I think the SEC ought to do away with the championship game and just have a regular season champion, whoever has the best record.
Because
this
this year, next year, playing in that championship game is going to cost somebody a playoff.
Yeah, I think you're going to see that. But I don't think, Bill, to argue that point, I don't think that would happen. I believe the committee would honor the fact that you're playing in the championship game. Even if you lose, I think they would seed you higher, even though you might have 3 losses and others have 2, because you had a chance to represent in a championship game. I think they would honor that.
I don't trust them. I just don't. I mean, because you sit here and look this week, they've moved Indiana way up. They keep moving BYU.
I just don't get BYU.
Where would BYU be in the SEC?
I told you guys this all year long. SEC's beating up on everybody. And what do the committees look at?
Win and loss.
They look
Yep.
at no. They look at the losses.
They look at who they have lost to. Yeah.
They don't look at who they play with the wins.
And they look at
the
they
losses.
look at BYU and they don't have a loss because they hadn't played anybody.
Well, because they get the hanky right there with the game over.
Well, who has Penn State beaten?
Not a whole lot.
All right, they're 4.
I know. I just don't. You look at Indiana. I think Indiana's a better team than Penn State.
I do too. I think
here's what else could happen. If BYU were to lose or Penn State were to lose, they might get what happens to them, like what happened to Miami, because Miami lost. We talked about that. They fell all the way out of the top 10.
Well, you put all these teams that have been sneaking around, getting up in the top 10. You throw them in the SEC, they got 2 or 3 losses like everybody else does.
I agree. Don't disagree with you at all.
So it's the toughest conference. There's no question about it. And I think this year has proven it.
Mm-hmm.
And having Texas and Oklahoma coming into it, it
made it
yes,
more of a challenge.
Yes, and it's honestly, I think it's making everybody better having 2 North Big teams like that coming.
I think what's happening is down south, all this NIL and transfer and all this is there, and everybody's competing down south. But up north, the rich just keep getting richer, and there's about 2 or 3 teams up north that can go out and get them, and the rest of them can't.
Yeah. What's amazing is how the job Clark leaves at Vanderbilt under these circumstances we're talking about. He's at the bottom and finds a way to come back up.
Yep. Yep.
In the SEC.
I know it. They put it together.
What's phenomenal.
I was disappointed in their loss last week, but I bet they bounce back. And of course, the quarterback's got a lot of.
Nobody wants to play South Carolina right now.
South Carolina's
they're real.
Their defense is
front seven as good as anybody.
Their defense is good.
They gave it to Texas A&M when they played.
Their defense is good.
Now they've got Missouri this week at home. They're a 14-point favorite. Both of them are in the top 25, and I believe South Carolina's going to take them.
Oh yeah, they do.
Here we talk about this week. Don't bet in the SEC.
I know you can't do it.
You don't know who's going.
Who else we got?
LSU is at Florida. Florida's getting 4. The question I have is: Florida's quarterback back or not?
I don't know,
because he not got hurt. I think they were fixing to beat Georgia.
They very well could have.
New Mexico, Texas A&M lines 39. Arkansas, Texas at Arkansas. Arkansas at home getting 12.5.
I tell you what, man, that game right there jumped out at me as a possible spoiler. I mean, you look at what they did to Tennessee.
I want to know, where's Alabama?
Alabama is playing Mercer.
Why?
The line's
why?
Same way. The same
I
reason.
know. Texas El Paso.
Same reason Tennessee played Kent State.
Hey, Auburn's got a big ball
and
game.
we still got what, Texas El Paso? Is that what we got? Tennessee.
I think you still got one.
One more cupcake
after this week.
Auburn's got a big game against University of Louisiana Monroe.
Oh my goodness.
Line's 24.5. You know what? I'll take Monroe to cover the spread.
Yeah.
Murray State and Kentucky. Line's 38.5.
This is cupcake week.
No,
it's strange at the end of the year. These cupcakes are early, not late.
Yeah.
Well, they started doing them late because usually, after this, Auburn played Monroe and Alabama's playing Mercer. The next week was usually Alabama-Auburn.
Yeah.
And Kentucky, probably the next week, usually Kentucky-Louisville.
Yeah.
Or they would do those so they could rest. They could rest them.
Heal up a little bit.
And work 2 weeks over on the opposition.
Yeah. So
interesting game here too. Utah at Colorado. Utah's getting 11, and Coach Prime is set up to possibly make a run to make the playoff here.
I don't go against Utah. Utah should have beat BYU.
They should have.
Had them beat. BYU. That was a terrible call at the end of that game. Awful call. It was almost like the office call.
So here's my question: how good is Colorado really?
They got 2 of the best players in America.
Yeah. They do. I think they should have the Heisman Trophy winner. I think
either one of the kids.
I think Hunter's
the best player in America.
He's a player.
But where the offensive line got better, credit to Deion. But Deion's biggest thing was the defense went from abysmal to decent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest difference. And he's done it without recruiting. He's doing it different. He doesn't recruit high school kids. He NILs all of it. Go get a kid.
Yeah. And another thing, we talked about it with Penn State and all them. Their schedule's favorable too.
Well, sure. It's a conference.
Very favorable.
Here's one that y'all are. BYU is at home against Kansas, and Kansas is like 3-6, but playing good. The line's 2.5. I say Kansas
They could
beats
do it.
BYU.
They could do it.
They
could do it.
We said that last week with Utah and BYU. You still got what did you say came out at the end of the game?
A little yellow
Yeah,
flag.
all right, here we go.
And the game was over.
Yeah.
They don't call that call. The game's over.
All right.
All right, you got Oregon and Wisconsin. At Wisconsin, the line's 14. I'm not saying Wisconsin's going to win this game.
I'd like
bet
to be
they
there.
cover it.
I'd like to be there because that atmosphere at Wisconsin is fun.
I bet they can cover 14. I bet they give Oregon a ball game. It's tough to go across the country, and every time either side in the Big Ten has to go one way or the other, it's tough.
Oregon, another team.
Travel time.
Another team. You throw them in the SEC, they got 2 or 3 losses.
Chris Hawkins, are you at Wisconsin this week? Chris Hawkins here local is a major.
I don't know if he's watching,
fan.
but Tony Sanders is in here. He's agreeing with something and he's laughing at something. I'm not sure what, but it's probably you, Bill.
I'm sure it is.
All right, guys. Let's take another break here, and we're going to come back and talk some pro football. And
Kenny, no, we have to.
Well, if you want to,
we'll just skip the Titans.
Sure,
talk Green Bay.
Just talk Green Bay.
Let's just talk Green Bay.
I thought Titans played pretty well last week.
Yeah, well,
lovable losers.
Yep, absolutely. We'll be back right after this.
Incade Service Company is a locally owned family business that has proudly served the Middle Tennessee area since 1934. We have a wide selection of furniture, appliances, electronics, and mattresses for every budget and design taste. We carry the brands that you know and trust, so you're sure to find exactly what you're looking for. Need financing? We have you covered. With our service department, you can rest assured that we will take care of you after the purchase. Visit our Shelbyville store at 400 Madison Street today.
All right, let's talk some NFL football, Bill. What's your Titans scoop guy talking about these days? Anything?
There is no scoop. We're playing for next year and playing for a draft.
All right, so what happens to Levis?
I've got a question for Bill today.
Right.
You brought up who?
Levis.
All right. I've got a question for Bill and anybody else out there. We got a quarterback. He's young. He's got a brand new head coach.
Yeah.
He's got a brand new coordinator. He's learning a new system. He's got a makeshift offensive line that might be a pretty good USFL offensive line. He's not got a whole lot to throw to. Okay. We're really down on him. What quarterback in the league do you think could win? You get your choice of any quarterback out there. What quarterback in the league? He's getting sacked 5 or 6 times a game.
I got a better one than that. Out there? The Tennessee Titans have won 2 games this year. In both games, Will Levis didn't play. Come back to that one. Mason Rudolph. You've won 2 games with Mason Rudolph at quarterback.
Who did they beat?
Beat the Dolphins, and who was the other game they won?
I can't remember now. I quit watching.
Levis probably could have beat him.
Levis cost you at least 4 games.
No, but you didn't answer my question. What other quarterback's going to – what's their record?
Mason Rudolph would have 4 wins right now.
But last week we didn't want him back out there either because of the performance that he had the week before.
Oh, he's not great either, but he's not just horrible.
But I'm just saying, I heard another quote the other day, and I thought, man, somebody's been listening to me. You build a team from the inside out. You build a team from the inside out. When you say, well, what are you referring to from the inside out?
You put Will Levis on the Kansas City Chiefs and it wouldn't go well.
The football. The football is the inside. Mm-hmm. You build your team offensively and defensively from the inside out. Tennessee fans have seen that now. What's the biggest thing for defense for Tennessee when they're talking about how good their defense is their defensive line, their defensive packages from the inside. The offensive line from the inside. You build your teams from the inside out. You can go draft a great quarterback. Go draft you a great quarterback. If you don't have an offensive line, your great quarterback's just going to be average. He ain't not going to be
talking
very
about
good.
The defense. Rumors earlier, 2 weeks ago, is Jeffrey Simmons is on the trading block before the trading deadline. Did you hear that?
No, I don't think they were going to trade him, but it is disappointing that you brought in 2 corners and paid big money and they never play.
Yeah,
but yet we played well on defense despite it. But we paid big money to two corners that haven't been out there hardly any this year.
All right, this right here, just forget who your favorite team is, who you watch, who you follow. Right now, if you could go into the league, throw Patrick Mahomes out to the side, forget about him, what quarterback would you take to put on your football team?
Josh Allen.
Yeah, he does. He has his moments.
Lamar Jackson.
Justin Herbert. I like Herbert.
Yeah.
I think Harbaugh's helped Herbert a lot.
Yeah. He just hadn't had a lot around him, and they're going to get better out there.
Who's yours, Kenny? Takes up
well,
is it Jordan Love?
I like Jordan Love. I really do. But these teams, even though there's a Patrick Mahomes at Kansas City and all, these teams, the talent is so close all over. This is a week in and week out. Every one of these NFL games is like playing an SEC game every week. The talent level is so close. A play here, a bad mental judgment here with a turnover, a penalty at the wrong time. They're so close. It don't take but two or three of these things to really, I don't think there is a quarterback out there that you say he's going to win every game.
Yeah,
because it's so low. Yeah. It's so close.
Yeah,
it takes. And the thing, well, Patrick Mahomes is good, but you know what Patrick Mahomes has got? He's got a pretty good offensive line.
Yeah,
he's got a pretty defense. He's got a pretty good offense, and he's got a what?
Great defense. Actually, his offensive line has not been that good this year. His tackles have not been very good.
I want to bring up a story that's kind of under the radar right now, and that's the resurgence of Russell Wilson coming back and playing 2 or 3 good games here when everybody thought he was dead and gone. They thought he was done, but he has come back and he's played better.
He's one game away from everybody saying,
I know. Yeah, exactly. But
it's a week in, week out.
A lot of times when they bury you in the NFL, you're done.
Russell Wilson, his big thing is he can throw the deep ball.
Yeah.
That's it.
He's not as mobile as he once was, which that was the key for him.
What does the Todd Bobo line have us down with some key games?
Well, the Titans, of course, are getting 6 at home against the Vikings. They could be getting 14. It wouldn't make any difference. The Ravens and Steelers. Here's an interesting ball game. The Steelers are at home playing well, getting 3.5 at home. Now, I know the Ravens are good on offense, but that defense of the Ravens is not a Raven defense.
It's not a typical defense.
I give the Steelers a puncher's shot to win a football game.
I think the Titans are going to shock us this week and win.
Okay.
I am trying to encourage you, Bill.
I hope you're right.
I've been trying to encourage you, Bill. I'm just going to say that just because we need to think.
Who's going to be their quarterback?
I don't know. Mason Rudolph? I don't know.
Levis
will be there. If he gets that win,
we're doing the same thing the Colts are doing right here. What do y'all think about Richardson being named the quarterback for the rest of the year? He has been maybe worse than Levis.
You got to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Richardson can't play this league.
Here's
not quarterback.
Here's the thing: they got nothing to lose. Hey, Bubba, if you can't do it this year, we go in another direction. Yeah. Even though we still got you on the rookie contract, the first 4 years, and you're a number 1 draft pick, so we got a 5th-year option on you. But we may have to go to a different route. But we're going to see what you can do.
Like we know what Richardson can do, and it ain't much. You got the Packers and the Bears at the Bears. Packers are getting 5.5. The Bears fired their offensive coordinator.
Packers are getting 5.5?
Now they're giving it.
Oh, I thought you said
giving it.
Okay.
Bears are catching 5.5 at home with a new offensive coordinator.
I think the Packers will win and go over to 5.5.
I think Caleb Williams has shown some chinks in the armor, and the Packers will be able to take advantage of that too.
Yeah.
But here's another thing with that. I'll go to Devil's Eye.
It's a battle.
I'm Packers. It's a Packer. It's a oldest rival game in the NFL. Longest tenured rival game in the NFL. But you don't ever know what a team will do with adversity. Do they come together? Do they separate? There was word out there that I said that I'd heard that there were some of the players calling for Williams to be set down, to be benched. So what's going on in the locker room? You don't ever know. But all I know is you give them a little chance to be successful, and you let them breathe just a little
The biggest
bit.
negative for the Packers this year has been, for some reason, those pick sixes. Jordan Love throws at the worst times.
Well, the biggest thing for them is
don't turn it over.
Some turnovers, and that's we talked about that earlier. You know, things we say week in and week out: turnovers, penalties, and tackling.
Yeah,
turnovers, penalty. You go back and look at any game. Man, if they hadn't have turned the ball over then, if they hadn't had those penalties in, and the Packers tend to get their penalties at the least. You know, they're not very good in the red zone. That's because most of their penalties come in the red zone. And you're playing behind the line. You're playing behind the chain. So, and look at Denver. I mean, sorry, not Denver, Detroit. Detroit's playing as good as anybody. You know what they're not doing? They're not turning the ball over, and they're not having those stupid penalties.
Yep.
They're playing within themselves.
And even when their quarterback those 5 interceptions, which happened last week, Detroit still wins the football game.
Yep.
Bengals Chargers line's 1.5. That one's interesting because
taking
the Bengals,
Chargers.
I'm gonna take the Bengals.
Okay.
Because I like Joe Burrow the way he's playing. The problem would be the Bengals defense. But here's your game. Game of the week, the Chiefs at the Bills. The Chiefs are getting 2.5 points and they're undefeated. Buffalo's got a ton of people out for this ball game.
Where's it at?
At Buffalo. But Patrick Mahomes is 12-1 as an underdog as a starting quarterback in the NFL. That is a phenomenal number.
I tell you what. Have you ever experienced the Bills Mafia?
No.
If you've never experienced the Bills Mafia, you need to go to a Bills game, whether it's in Buffalo or not.
I've experienced it up here because I've been here.
When they played the Titans?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, that was a
throwback. I was there.
I was
there too.
I wasn't at that game, but I was at a game. The Bills and Packers, and Bud Adams was in the skybox shooting birds at the quarterback. Who was it? Fitzpatrick, I think. No, T.O. was on the team, and he was shooting T.O. birds.
I think it's time for the Chiefs to lose because they have been winning by the hair of their chinny chin.
Y'all see where their kicker tore his ACL and is out for the year? Yes. When did he do that? In practice?
Evidently.
How does your kicker tear his knee up in practice?
The kicker for Detroit that came from Alabama, that's a good.
Yeah.
That could hurt the Chiefs too because he's been a great kicker.
Yeah. And that kid come in and won the game the other night and he scraped the paint off the upright. Guys, it's time for us to close this show out. And Bill, I'm just going to say the Titans might pull it off tomorrow. Just have hope.
I have 0.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching this morning. Now, I want to talk about what we're going to do next week. Of course, we're going to go over our review of the Page-Shelbyville game and high school playoffs.
And I'll be in Green Bay.
You'll be gone in Green Bay.
I'll be in Green Bay the next 2 weeks.
And what I want us to do, which we didn't acknowledge this, the TSSAA classifications came out. We know how the regions are broke down. We're going to go over that. Here in the next couple of weeks.
We know how the football regions are breaking down. We don't know anything about basketball.
No.
It didn't affect anything. My understanding is hardly anything changes at all. It's just
I haven't seen it. I've looked for it.
That's going to be an interesting conversation, so you guys get ready for that. Get out, support your Shelbyville Golden Eagles and all your Bedford County sports teams. You got middle school playing basketball, high school's getting ready for it.
You got elementary basketball.
You got the elementary games going on. There's so much going on sports-wise in Bedford County. If you love sports, get out and support it.
And the high school basketball starts this week.
It's coming up.
It starts this week.
Guys, thanks for watching. Again, we thank our sponsors, First Bank of Shelbyville and Kincaid
Service
Company.